We are well into March now, and if you're anything like me, you are really feeling that itch to get out on the motorcycle. So in this video, I'm just going to go over a very basic preseason checklist that you should look at before your first ride. What's going on, everybody? My name is Andrew. This is Touring Midwest. This is my 2016 Harley Davidson Road Glide Ultra, and I live in Minnesota, so it's been about 6 months since I've had this thing out on the road, and I am ready to ride. But there's a few things that you should look at before taking your motorcycle out for the first time after having it stored for the winter. And a couple hot reminders right off the bat is make sure that your tabs or tags or registration is current right off the bat. Very, very important. Here in Minnesota, it's due in February. All motorcycles are due in February. So it's coming into March. If you have not picked up your tabs yet, you're going to want to make sure you get that done. And while you're at it, check and make sure that your insurance is current and you have a current policy number and proof of insurance with you, because when you go up to get your tabs, you're going to need that. So as far as the motorcycle goes, once you've got those basic necessities out of the way, very important, I just wanted to throw them out there right away, okay? I haven't done it yet. It's the middle of March and I haven't done it yet, so that's why I'm telling you. So the first thing is really basic and easy. If your motorcycle's been sitting in the same spot in the garage over the winter, you probably would have noticed it by now, but just in case, just check and make sure there's no leaks. If there's no noticeable leaks, you're already off to a great start, and we can get on to the second thing. The second thing is your battery. Now, I would just leave your battery on the battery tender all winter long, and you should be good when you're ready to ride in the spring. Now, I know from last season, my battery is not good. I had problems with it. I need to get that replaced, and it's definitely on my list of things to do. But otherwise, I just keep my battery tender plugged in all winter long. Basically, if I'm not going to ride my motorcycle for a couple days, I leave the battery tender on there anyways, which I've recently found out is actually a smart thing to do, even if you've got a brand new battery. If there's any length of time that you're not going to be riding your motorcycle, just plug it into a smart battery tender like the one from Harley Davidson. That's just this little guy that I've got right here. Doesn't take up any space. I've got it plugged into a strip attached to a ceiling joist in the garage. The cords run over and down right where I need it, so it's very, very convenient. So yeah, if you're going to go more than a couple days without riding, just plug it in. And you're actually going to get more length out of the life of your battery. Some guys are actually talking that they're getting 6, 8, 9, 10 years out of a battery going by that philosophy. Just plug it in. Plug it in. Alright, so moving on to, what's that? 2, 3? We're moving on to 3 now. You're going to want to check all your fluids. Now, of course, oil, but you can also check your transmission fluid. Very important to have transmission fluid. You know that it hasn't been leaking over the winter, but it's just a good idea to check it anyways. Make sure the fluid looks good, it smells good, and that's going to save you a lot of problems. Now, if you have a liquid cooled bike, like my Road Glide here has liquid cooled heads, you're going to want to check the coolant level as well. Also, you could actually test the coolant. They make little coolant testers, and yeah, just to make sure it's right and good and all the things. Next thing you want to do is test all of the switches, controls, buttons, etc. Make sure all your lights work, including your signal lights and brake lights, low beams and high beams. Test your horn, make sure all that's good to go. That's going to help keep you safe on the road, and also probably help you avoid tickets from having a light out or a horn that doesn't work right. Then you want to check your brakes. Now, I would try the front and rear brakes, roll the bike back and forth, make sure they're at least grabbing, but then also visually inspect your brake pads and make sure that they don't look too worn and that they're good to go. Just get in there with a flashlight if you need to, or the light on your phone, and take a peek and just visually confirm that your brake pads are good and that they're grabbing and that they're not squeaking and grinding. Check your clutch, throttle, and shifter. Make sure everything feels right. Make sure the throttle kicks back the way it's supposed to and feels like you remember it feeling. And yeah, just kind of go over that. It's pretty basic. This is all pretty basic, easy stuff. You should be able to get through this whole inspection fairly quickly. Next up is your steering. Just get on the bike, move the handlebars as far left and as far right as they'll go. Just make sure that feels good. Make sure that the steering feels good and that those bearings feel good and nothing feels like it's rubbing or feels loose, or you know how your bike feels, right? Most of us, I feel like, know how our bikes feel. Next thing, this is very, very important. Check your tire pressure and then visually inspect your tires. Make sure that there's not any flat spots, and check the tread depth. You can buy a little tire tread depth tester for very, very cheap, but make sure your tires are good. And they probably will lose some air sitting all winter, so one of the first things I will do is check the air pressure in the tires, and probably head down to the gas station for some air. The next thing you want to do is inspect your belt or chain. Now just give it a good glance. Make sure that it's not looking like it's dried out or cracking if it's a belt. And make sure that your chain is oiled and clean looking and all that. I've never owned a chain drive bike, to be honest with you, but I know that you're supposed to clean them and keep them oiled. So check out another video somewhere for that, and if you don't know how to do it. But yeah, definitely very, very important to make sure that your belt or chain is in good condition, and you can just check that visually. And there's tools you can buy to check the tension and all this, or slack, or whatever you want to say. But just a visual inspection is going to go a long ways in keeping you on the road and avoiding any situations or problems, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. Spring is a good opportunity to check to make sure that your nav system or infotainment system is up to date. I've got a video about how to do it on the Harley Davidsons. I'll try to throw a link somewhere for that if you haven't seen it yet. It's pretty easy to do. Just get on your computer, put it on a flash drive, and then plug it into your bike. The bike pretty much does the rest. I walk you through the whole thing in that video, so check that out if you haven't. But yeah, not a bad idea. I mean, not all bikes have that, obviously, but if it is applicable to you, it's a good time to do it. Make sure that all the navigation and everything is set up proper and good to go. Other than that, you know, just ride, have fun, enjoy life. I know I need to do an oil change on this thing because I had not gotten it done in the fall, so definitely need to get an oil change before I put on any real miles. But I need to be able to get out and kind of get the bike warmed up for that. And obviously she needs a good cleaning because she's just been sitting here since the end of the riding season last year. So I'll get her cleaned up, back on the road, and we'll be good to go. So that's the checklist I made up, you guys. Hopefully it's cool. Is there anything else that you would add to that checklist to do every season before riding? Let me know down in the comments. Stay safe out there as always, and we will catch you next time right here on Touring Midwest.